All right, guys, I've been getting a lot of questions. There's been a lot of hype, specifically around this Beyond Power Ultra 1, but just a general discussion that it seems to be on the rise regarding electronic digital weights versus tried and true basic weights. And I think this has gotten so high to a certain point that I even had not one, but even two companies I was talking to, off recording, of course, and in confidentiality, who were just asking me, is there something going on between you guys reviewing products and just what's out there with marketing that they are somehow paying you guys off to talk about this so much? I can say for me that is not the case. I don't think that is the case. I think there's just a lot of hype behind certain things. People have a lot of questions, and you're seeing a lot more of the creative, just new and kind of fun things you can do with these things, that's where this is kind of coming from. But even one other company that I'm not going to give too much away is tied into this electronic space was even asking the same question, because it seems like there's just so much hype behind this Beyond Power Ultra 1 that I wanted to kind of weigh in my thoughts on it, give you guys yet another update. I've made some other videos of the Beyond Power Ultra 1. I will link those down below. But as always, brutally honest with the things I'll be talking about here. If you want to pick up a Beyond Power Ultra 1 or even an Ironmaster thing, I'll compare it to this thing in a second. Affiliate links will be down below in the description box. And I brought out an Ironmaster Quick Lock adjustable dumbbell, of which again, I got tons of videos, check out on the channel, to be the poster boy for free weights, because this is a, you could say, iconic, also maybe archaic design. It's still very functional, it works great, still selling very well, so I want to use this. Adjustable dumbbell that is just using tried and true free weights, lasts you a lifetime. It's not going to have a subscription like people like to talk about and poke fun at these electronic resistance. And you kind of know is what you get. It's basic raw weight compared to this new age technology here. So to give you guys an update, and I'm doing this so hopefully you guys can make the best decision possible, and certainly just to weigh in on the comments, drop your comments down below what you guys are seeing, thinking, or feeling about the whole matter. But with the Beyond Power Ultra 1, my thoughts haven't changed as much, but if anything, the honeymoon phase has kind of slowly gone down a little bit. I mentioned in my last update video that I pretty much primarily was only using this as it's sitting on here on their foot plate for only a few key exercises. And those exercises, while they feel great, have actually gone down in how much I've actually been using this thing. But just for the sake of laziness, I don't know what it is, I just, instead of kind of going ahead, setting this up and turning it on, which takes all of about a few seconds, I still definitely use this. But I've been going back to just using bands a lot. It might be just because I'm testing out some new bands and stuff, but point is very comparable. And there's just something about just grabbing something physical, not turning anything on, that seems to really warrant its use. And the same has to go with how I'm using it to the strap mount. I mentioned in that previous update video that really, aside from the foot plate, I was using it for lat pull downs, tricep press downs, and maybe some cable rotations. My Force USA rack over here. And I took this off a while back to mess around with on my Total Gym, and I have the glide mount hooked up to my Quantum trainer. You guys will see that in the future. Very cool that you can do that, but since taking this thing off, I haven't found the motivation to go ahead and actually even do that, which again says something else, that if you have a weight stack machine or if it's there, even though I said this thing feels really good and I love the tension that it has and it gives off, I pretty much am just, again, probably laziness, but also because it's not that much of a difference. I just go on the weight stack machine for my weighted crunches, tricep press downs, maybe some back stuff, which is again, primarily the only reason I'm really using that. With all that said, I do stand by the whole idea that where this thing really is a huge selling point is if you do not have a weight stack or you're not intending to get one. I think one of the most underrated things I preach about all the time is just the idea of moving. Most people are not going to be staying in their homes forever, or they're transitioning between jobs, whatever. And the idea, at least for me, moving a weight stack and committing to something with that amount of space would be kind of rough. And if you're like me and you only use a few cable stack weighted machines, this is to me one of the biggest values of having this. If you already have a weight stack, I stand by even more than ever that I do not think this is really worth it. Yes, you could put in and create all sorts of weird, settings and custom strength curves and the eccentric mode only, and this might apply to some people versus others. I'm a very practical person. I don't have a whole lot of time to really mess around. I like messing around when it's there, but I don't like getting so convoluted that it messes up my workouts. And to be honest, some of the stuff I'm seeing with this and some of the exercise and the way to perform, for me personally, it could be a hot take, I'm not pointing any names. I just think it's not worth the effort, and I think it might even impair your training. But if you're having fun, that's certainly the most important thing, no question. And so when you compare this to something like this, I can understand some of the pushback I've been seeing, because yes, traditional free weights, they're gonna last you a lifetime. There is something about just not having to turn something on that just makes this a little more accessible, even though something like this, as I said before, can get kind of messy. And the same kind of rings true actually for my Speediance Gym Monster. I still have that as actually now in my storage room. So I actually had it in my basement where I just did a video talking about my Ironmaster stuff. That was there. I actually moved the Speediance in the back room. That should say something. It's not that I don't think the Speedience is a bad product. I actually think it's awesome. And if you did not, or if I did not have a functional trainer weight stack set up here, no question my Gym Monster would be set up right there and I'd be using it for various cable functions because I do still love that center pull. And I thought I'd insert this here too because of all the different equipment I have in my home gym, my garage, and also my basement and stuff I've reviewed. This little piece right here, this electronic digital resistance platform, we've covered a lot of these. Doesn't even work that well, honestly. This is the one thing my wife uses the most. It's stored in our bedroom. She's subbed this out for some dumbbells that she has. So this is one kind of case in point, again, take it for whatever you will, of a digital resistance product that seems to work really well, at least for one person. So I thought I'd just kind of insert that here as a nice case in point of electronic resistance versus free weights. Overall point though is I am not using that Speedience Gym Monster really, if at all right now, because I'd much rather just go ahead, grab something physical and get the workout the way I've been doing it before versus turning it on, getting the settings, doing an update, having a ring setting. And that is something else I think is, I've heard people touch on, is safety. And the Speedience and this have been performing totally flawlessly. Whenever I use them, there's never really any issues. But I made a video, an update video of the Speedience that while I haven't personally had any issues or heard any big concerns, I just like the idea for safety that yes, something could fall and hit your foot, or you can get stuck under a weight, no question, and these have built-in safety parameters in check. I don't know about you guys, no matter how much something is tested electronically, I still like having a physical thing there to catch me just in case something were to happen that I can really depend on versus, you know, electronic thing, maybe not catching that spotting function, or worst case scenario, this thing could turn on abruptly or just start freaking out on you like some of these robots we were seeing out there in the wild. But with that said, do I think your odds of getting hurt or crushed under electronic weight are greater than real weights? Probably not. I would say statistically speaking, you're more likely to get hurt with physical weights, but as far as just peace of mind and knowing what you got here, I think the weights are always going to give you that benefit. But I think with regards to that, I do not think these things are going to go away anytime soon. While the convenience factor is definitely there, there's still this, always I think going to be this level of nostalgia that is always going to be present. And while people always say that these things could be in the future, and I've said this before, I actually dubbed the term, the Speedience I think stole from me, I've said that many times, the future of fitness. I think these are going to be, no question, implemented in commercial gym machines and home gyms, of course, no question. However, they're always going to have to be updated, and I said that with my original Speedience review. They're going to be like Speedience 1, 2, 3, just like a PlayStation or a game console. But with this and a free weight, you're never going to have to do that. And it should kind of go without saying, free weights, traditional weights will last you multiple generations, and they'd still work and still get the job done. Even there's some Ironmaster shots, these things surviving fires and still surviving. So that will not happen with a digital resistance type thing. So as it stands right now, if I were to answer the question, Mike, which one should I get? Should I invest in something like this, or should I get some physical stuff like weights and resistance bands? Which one is the best idea? Best answer I would say is, which one of these are you more likely to use most often? If you have a squat rack with a weight stack machine, I don't think it's worth it. Even with the foot plate and use resistance bands, they are very comparable. I could get by with resistance bands and be totally fine and not use this. And then, yes, it is a convenience and pretty cool to kind of travel with, but you're not probably, I don't think you bring this thing on an airplane, so we're talking like car rides or maybe going to the park or something like that. Traveling, if you're moving house to house or an apartment or whatever, I think that's gonna be huge. If you do not have a squat rack weight stack, this makes the most amount of sense. It really, in my opinion, just stands as the ultimate kind of cool factor resistance training toy, if I say it that. Free weights, bands, barbells, even your cable weight stack machine is probably the best go-to answer, unless all those other things considered might check those boxes. Would love to hear your comments and opinions. I'm sure other people would as well, to kind of help make the best educated decision on pulling the trigger on something like this. And if you want to see me feature something in the future, let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next one.